When you're on a diet or a very strict meal plan and you've gone several weeks, maybe a month, maybe several months, it's natural to want to treat yourself or do something for yourself to kind of reward yourself for the hard work and the progress that you've made. What I want to do in this video is talk about the potential pitfalls of doing that and maybe some alternative ways to reward yourself for your hard work. Let's talk about it. Welcome and thanks for tuning in. My name is Marcus Bailey. My goal is to help as many people as possible take control of their health and well-being, but also give you tips and resources to make that health journey more enjoyable and easier to stick to long term. So today we're going to do something a little bit different, and this is going to be more of a discussion. And what I'd like to do is give kind of an answer or response to a question that I get pretty often. Something that you may have dealt with, something that you know someone else is dealing with. So I just want to give an informal response as to how I would answer that question as if I was sitting right across from you. So let me read the question that I got recently and let's talk through it. The question is, I've been doing well on my diet plan. I've lost 11 pounds already. Is it okay to go out and treat myself with a big cheat meal? So let me say that again. I've been doing well on my diet plan. Check, good job. I've lost 11 pounds. Great job, got some results. Congratulate yourself for that. And is it okay to go out and treat myself with a big cheat meal? So that's kind of where we're gonna talk with the answer. The first two things, fantastic. You're doing what you need to do. You're making progress. You're doing something for yourself. Congratulations. Let's talk about the okay part. And this is what makes it really impossible to kind of do in a yes or no way. Because if I say yes, it's okay for you to go out and have a cheat meal, what I'm doing as a friend, as a coach, as an accountability partner, what I'm telling you is it's okay to go back on the commitments that you made to yourself and that you made for whatever goal and whoever you're doing it for, your family or whatever those people that you might be doing it for, but mainly yourself. So from that perspective, it really isn't okay. I can't really tell you, sure, go ahead and go back on what you said you were going to do. But on the other side of that, this isn't the NCAA basketball tournament. So it's not like one loss and you're out. So I can't tell you that if you, and certainly it's not true, that if you have one bad day, one bad meal, your diet is over, you've blown up your entire journey. That's not the case at all. So that's where I want to kind of bring in how I respond and my perspective and my take on it. That way it may not be the answer you want, but hopefully it's going to be the answer that you need or maybe that someone else needs. And it's kind of right there in the middle of that yes and the no. So the main part that I'd like to really address, and this is where it is problematic, and this is the worst part about that whole statement, is a pre-planned, premeditated cheat meal. So if you say, I am going to schedule a time, a day, an evening, a meal, whatever the case might be, where I am going to intentionally go against or go back or take a step backwards on the diet or on the goals that I've set for myself, that's the bad part. That's the part that is an absolute, I would say no, to pre-plan or premeditate a cheat meal. What should happen is if you're out and about, let's just say you're at work, you're supposed to get off at 5, maybe you don't get off until 8, 9 o'clock. You got to eat something for dinner. You're not able to, you're not going to be able to go home and cook that day. So what you do instead is you go grab some fast food or some takeout or Uber Eats or whatever, and you have them deliver to your job so that you can, work through your last few hours of work. That's an unplanned situation. That might be off of your diet. You might eat something that you normally wouldn't eat, but at least it happened organically. So instead of you making it happen, it just happened. Or let's just say you're, out with friends on a Saturday evening. You guys plan to go out for an hour, sit, have coffee, whatever the case might be. all of a sudden a few other friends join and you guys end up going, to a restaurant or to a bar, and you end up eating or drinking things that may be off your diet. But you didn't plan on it. You only planned on going out for an hour, but then something just happened to you. That's okay. That's a cheat meal, or that's kind of a step off of the path of your diet that you didn't plan on. It's always going to happen where your diet's not going to be a straight line. You're going to have some times where you're going to step left. You're going to have some times where you step right, but it's always going to give you the opportunity that next day to say, man, that was not what I intended. That is not on my diet, but tomorrow morning I'm back at it. So let me give you kind of an example of why I say that. And this may be a far out stretch type of an example, but this is the best one that I can think of to kind of illustrate this point. So hopefully it hits home. And I certainly don't mean to offend anybody with this example, but let's think of like an alcoholic. Someone who has made the decision for themselves to say, hey, I'm a recovering alcoholic. I'm going to go to Alcoholics Anonymous. And, they have, and I certainly celebrate them saying, I've been sober for X amount of time. It really wouldn't make sense for them to say, man, I've been doing so well not drinking for 2 months, 3 months, whatever it is. I'm going to reward myself by Thursday going to the bar and having 3 drinks, or just falling into a bottle on Saturday. That really isn't a reward, because that is going completely against the whole self-improvement and personal goal path to plan that. Now, what may happen, and I've certainly seen this happen to people that I know, you may see it in the movies, is, someone is faced with a situation where they may be on the path to becoming sober or have been sober for a certain amount of time, and maybe their friend stops over and inadvertently brings a 6-pack of beer. And at that point, you as the person who's on the path didn't plan it. It just happened to you. But you can turn right back around and say, you know what? I regressed. I can step back. So that's okay. Now, it's not because of the progress. So in the example, the question that I got, I've been on my path. I've been eating well. I lost 11 pounds. You're not going to gain those 11 pounds in that cheat meal. That's not the deal. That's not the issue, is gaining back what you've lost. The issue is the fact that your brain really doesn't know the difference and really doesn't know how to go from what's good to what's bad quickly. That's not what your brain is intended to do, is to say, hey, I'm going to think this is completely good and this is completely bad. So let me explain what I mean. You're really doing 3 things to your brain when you pre-plan that cheat meal. So the first thing that you're doing is you're telling yourself that the plan you're on is unpleasant, and that makes it unsustainable, because we are programmed to do what is sustainable, what we are able to do on a long-term basis. So if you continually plan cheat meals and you are looking forward to opportunities to stop doing what you're currently doing, really what you're telling yourself is, I'm doing something unpleasant, therefore it's unsustainable, because no one is going to be able to stay on a lifelong or a long-term path of something that is continually unpleasant. The other thing is you're reinforcing to yourself that whatever you told yourself was bad, it really is good for you. And that becomes a mental and emotional type of a confusion. So again, your brain is intended to repeat things or do things instinctually that avoid pain, avoid discomfort. So if you keep telling yourself, and I'll just use an example here, let's just say you wanted to give up a particular fast food restaurant, and you've been off of that particular fast food restaurant because you know you're always going to overindulge for 30 days, and you reward yourself with a trip to that fast food restaurant. Really what you're telling your brain is the fast food restaurant is good for you and what you've been doing is bad. And you get into this emotional and mental battle with yourself. When you intentionally say, I'm going to schedule a time, I'm going to plan an opportunity to go out and do what I've told myself I shouldn't, but I deserve it. So the other thing that you do is you create bigger ups and bigger downs in your journey. So if I say I'm going to go out and I'm just going to have a complete blowout night on Saturday night, I'm probably going to be working extra hard, cutting back my calories in half or even by a third, working out extra hard those days leading up to it. And then the days after, I'm going to feel super bad about it. So then I'm probably going to cut my calories back. So you're going to go from super high down to super low. And both of those ranges, when you're really high or really low, are unpleasant. The goal is to stay consistent. So I'm going to eat what I normally have set for my diet plan or my meal plan every single day. If I have a meal that is kind of a blip in the radar, that's okay. I don't want to overcompensate on the front end or on the back end. That's what you don't want to do. And that's what you create when you do that up and that down of your diet. So wrapping up, let me just reinforce to you or restate or reassure you that you will have those moments of choice. And those moments of choice are okay. It's okay for those moments to end up on what would be the wrong side of your diet or the wrong side of your plan or the wrong side of your calorie goal or the wrong side of whatever you were supposed to take in that day. That's okay when it happens in that moment, because one of the things that you learn and one of the things that keeps you going long term is the knowledge that if you do slip, if you do have a blip on the radar, the next day, your next bite, your next drink is in the right direction. So falling off the path and coming right back, that's not only a part of dieting, that's not only a part of healthy living, that's a part of life. So that's okay. The part that we want to avoid, and I'm going to suggest, is the in between a yes and a no answer. Stay off of the roller coaster. And when you schedule moments, when you say, I'm going to plan out a week in advance, 2 weeks in advance, a step right back in the situation that I'm trying to step out of, you're really doing yourself a disservice. And I'll just give one other example. Let's just use personal relationships. If you came out of, say, a toxic relationship and you say, I've been doing good, I've been meeting the right people, I've been saying no to the people that I know are not good for me, I've been saying yes to the people who can help me, and it doesn't have to be a romantic relationship, it can be a business relationship, a personal relationship. If you're doing well and making choices that are enriching your life, why would you reward yourself and say, man, I'm doing so good, my business is going well, my job is going fantastic, I feel good, I've got a lot of good positive energy around me, or I finally met someone who treats me the way I wanted to be treated, or whatever that might be. I'm going to reward myself, and I'm going to go spend a day with that person, who makes me feel bad, or who tells me I'm not enough, or who does not support my business, or whatever the case might be. So you can see in that instance, that doesn't make sense to schedule a time. But if you happen to bump into that person on the street, okay, hey, I saw him, I got my feelings for a few minutes, but then I'm on my way. But I didn't schedule a time to meet up with that person or get back into that toxic situation on purpose and on schedule. So that's kind of my answer to that. Hopefully it wasn't too long, but again, I wanted to go through all of that so that you can understand there's a difference between a yes, it's okay, and a no, it's not. There's a space in the middle where you've got to give yourself some permission to say, if I find myself in a moment where I might fall back, that's okay. If you find yourself in a moment, don't create it for yourself. Let that moment find you. And then after that, you can make the adjustments afterwards. So if you found value in this video, please consider subscribing, get notifications. Again, my goal is to not only provide some detailed information and some formal videos, but I also want to do more question and answers, and I want to address some of the things kind of on a one-to-one conversational basis, as I would if I was sitting right across from you, to kind of bring some context to the things that we all face. I'm no different on our health journey, on our fitness journey. So again, thanks for tuning in. I appreciate you watching.